So sometimes you just have to get stuff off your chest, you know, naturally. So I have an auditory disorder called misophonia, and in case you've never heard of it, which would be surprising because if you clicked on this video, I don't know why you would if you didn't, if you weren't curious about it. But if you're curious about it and don't know what it is, I'll help you out. Basically, it's a neurological disorder to where your amygdala and there's a car coming, hold on. So basically, your amygdala, I believe there's two sides on both sides of your brain. It processes emotion, and then I think it's cross-wired with your prefrontal cortex, which processes decision-making, emotions. I might be getting this mixed up. Basically, brain science aside, the part of your brain that processes auditory feedback and emotional feedback, they get cross-wired. So as a result, you get synesthesia. And there's pros and cons to having misophonia for sure. I don't know if you've had it and this is news to you, like, it's pretty cool to help you be the one to inform me about it, but you're probably really creative, because so in your brain, our brain processes information through neurotransmitters. They're like our little messengers between thoughts, and sort of like you know, when you plug something into the wall, it's usually covered by like a rubber thing over the wire, you know, to help the electricity transfer from the lamp or the computer or whatever is being plugged into the wall, the power source. And around that is rubber. Now, people with misophonia, that rubber, which is known as the myelin sheath, she's thick. She's thick. And therefore there's a little bit of inflammation in the brain. And that can be a hell of a time in a good way and in a bad way. So, for instance, a lot of people with misophonia, since their emotions and their sensory input are sort of and especially with auditory, they get intertwined. So some sounds will really make you feel great, you know, and a lot of people with misophonia are musicians or writers because they can turn their emotions to sound and vice versa from their environment. They get really emotionally influenced by music. Music's been my friend for like so freaking long. So I guess one way to put it is like, if you're neurotypical, someone who doesn't have any disorders like autism or misophonia or there's just so many disorders out there. I mean, Google it, I guess. But what was I saying? Sorry. I didn't plan this at all. I was just like, what got me to make this video is because I've known that I've had this disorder for like over a decade, and I've never seen anyone vlog about it. It kind of bummed me out because I'm a visual learner and I like to hear people talk about their experiences. So I guess as camera shy as I am, I could take that on, you know, and maybe someone will see this and hopefully they'll feel a bit less invisible, because it's not a very well-known disorder. In fact, when I first learned about it, in one of my psychology classes in high school, I wanted to give a speech about it since we're meant to like choose something for a speech. So I asked my teacher if I could talk about this disorder, and she was hesitant because, excuse me, sorry, she couldn't find it when she looked it up. It was really like recently deemed as a real disorder, the scientific community within probably like 10 years ago, maybe. But she let me do it. And it turned out well, but it wasn't a very validating experience. But my speech went well, so, you know, there's that. But anyways, gosh, what was I saying? So, neurotypical people, yes. So, neurotypical people, they usually, their brains can, they process things in a more not curated, in a way that doesn't make their attention be drawn somewhere else. For instance, I'll give you a visual, okay? So, say between this tree and this tree, this is the gate of sensory input that a neurotypical person gets. It's kind of small, you know? Like, you might get visuals like a bird flying past you, you might get something that might fly in here, someone calling your name, or the microwave beeping. You might get whatever you're focusing on in that immediate moment. Someone with misophonia, for example, our sensory input gate, what our brains take in and let out, goes from this tree to fucking this tree. So this tree to this tree. Neurotypical misophonia, all the way to this little guy. So we get a shit ton of sensory information. And that we can partially give credence to our creativity, because we get a lot more ideas coming at us, to be writers or make cool sounds and patterns, and but some sounds can make a literal hell out of whatever space you're in. And usually people have triggers. There's typical triggers of people with misophonia, which, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people have like chewing triggers. If someone's chewing loudly, if they're chewing gum and it pops, if someone's slurping, if they're coughing, oh my gosh, like, sorry, I'm like, just thinking about it, just like pisses me off. And it's like, it's terrible, it's awful, it's like, imagine, okay, like, for anyone who experiences road rage, imagine road rage, like, times 10. Imagine you're in, like, a classroom, and there's somebody scraping their nails on a chalkboard. Now imagine there's, like, 50 people doing that, and you're trapped in that classroom for, like, an hour. That kind of, like, stimulation for someone with misophonia, that for someone who's neurotypical to be in a classroom with all of that screeching is, like, the effect that one trigger could have on a person with that disorder, like that. Like, it can feel like that instantaneously. The amount of time that it takes for your brain to register the noise and get to your reptile brain, like everything. It's like, it's kind of like a form of PTSD. It's instantaneous, and it's, if you're lucky, you can, if you're in a situation where you can put on headphones or escape the situation in a calm manner. I have a pretty severe case of misophonia, but not as bad as some people. Some people will just go apeshit, you know, like, it's worse for them, and they can't deal with it. Like, luckily, like, I don't know, it depends. So that's my sort of amateur description of misophonia. Now my experience with it, when did I start experiencing misophonia? I hope I don't get lost. I'm just, like, wandering around this forest, and I'm trying to avoid people because I don't like being seen while I'm filming because it's embarrassing. Okay, there's people over there, okay, let's just wait for those people. So when I first started experiencing what I think was misophonia at the time, I was super young. Like, I kind of just, like, blend the time together. Shoot, they're coming this way. Okay, let's just go this way. No, they're coming towards me on that direction. Okay. Don't worry, I have a plan. A master plan. I'm good at escaping, see? Noises and people. Okay, cool. So, squirrel. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so when I first started experiencing it, I was probably like 6, 7 years old maybe, pretty early. And, I don't know what it is, but like my dad and my oldest brother, he's like 18 years older than me, they both kind of have like this chronic cough, this cough, this grunt. Sometimes it could be really loud. Like I would try to demonstrate it, but that might be kind of silly. But they would stay up really late, and where they would hang out when I was younger was like right outside my bedroom. So that would keep me up late at night, just hearing them cough and cough, and I just could not for the life of me tune them out. And on top of that, I shared a bedroom with 2 sisters and a dog. So the dog in the corner would like be snoring so loudly when she fell asleep. And I know this sounds really mean, but like sometimes I would like take my stuffed animal and like throw it at her to wake her up just to get her to stop snoring. You know, I'd be like, Bridget, like stop snoring, like please, like come on, man, like help a brother out. But you know, when she woke up, as a lot of dogs do, since their tongues go on for miles, she would adjust her tongue and go like, and I was just like, fuck, like that would just like drive me up the wall. Like it would drive me so nuts. Well, my dad and my brother simultaneously are like having this like coughing duet, you know, they're like and I was just like, I can't fucking sleep. Like I felt like I was going to go insane. I would be in bed crying about this. Like I would have like meltdowns, just like thinking like, when will they just go to bed? Like it wasn't even that I wasn't able to sleep, it was just being trapped in that space because bedtime was enforced when you're that young. I had to listen to all this crap. So some nights I would go out and ask them like, hey guys, I'm trying to sleep, can you go to bed? I can hear you out here or in here, you know. They would say no because, you know, you're a kid and you can't really tell adults when to go to bed, right? So that would go on for a long time, and these sounds started to become triggers. When people would eat, it would just drive me nuts. And like for a while it went from like mouth sounds to like my friend, she would like breathe really loudly after doing nothing. Like she would do freaking nothing, but she would just breathe so heavily, and I was just like, I wanted to just ask her like, hey man, like what's the deal? Like why you breathe? Like it was just, I can't even describe it. It was just like I could not fixate on anything else except for those sounds, even if I tried. Believe me, I tried. I've had like family tell me like, oh, just don't let it get to you, like don't let it bother you. And I'm like, I wish I had that choice, but I don't. Like, and finally years went by. Okay, this is going nowhere. I don't want to get lost, so let's just go in this direction. Finally, one of my friends, she showed me a website, and she was like, dude, this is you have this. Like everything this website describes is what you've, like what I'm seeing and you like describing to me with like noises and stuff. And I was like, I wasn't insulted at all. Believe me, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, it was kind of like reassuring in a way to know that not only was I not insane or crazy, I guess, because I wasn't the only one. There are other people out there like me who could describe even better than I could at that time what it was like. And that was just super cool, and I was excited to share it. And I know I mentioned earlier in high school that I gave like a speech about it. And that went well, but I took a public speaking class in college, and I was like, oh, I'll just give the same speech essentially, but like more informed. But I was just like, I get really uncomfortable with public speaking, and like just looking at the faces of people listening, they were just like, their jaws dropped. Like they could not believe like this person standing in front of them could not deal with things so mundane, seemingly so mundane in everyday life. but it's such a curse sometimes. It's such a fucking curse. But you have to take care of yourself, you know? Like, you have to get to know yourself and accept what you have, and not to say settle for not trying to find ways to deal with it, you know? I don't know if there'll ever be a cure. Maybe. But, like, you kind of have to find ways to deal with it. And, you know, I've decided, like, I'm in college now, and one of the perks of being in college is you can assign your own seating. And if someone's, like, has the sniffles or chewing their gum loudly, I'll get up, grab all my things, grab my computer, go to the opposite side of this classroom as quietly as I can. And I know, like, it confuses professors. And, like, when the course starts at the beginning of the semester, I'll try to email them and tell them, like, hey, if you see me doing something like that, like, I hope it doesn't get too distracting. I want to, like, get all I can from your lectures, and I can't when all I want to do is, like, hyperventilate and walk to my car and just sit there in a fetal position and calm myself down when somebody has, like, the common cold. So, yeah. This is pretty. Since I kind of blanked on what to say next, I want to do a shout out to Mike Falzone. You should check him out. He's a comedian who, before he started doing comedy, I think he started doing walk and talks, and he kind of did this format of talking and making videos on YouTube. And I don't know, I never had the guts to do something like this until now, because I was like, you know what? I want to see this stuff for Misophonia. Like, I want to see someone represent and, like, just talk about this crap, you know? Just, like, get it out. Like, I have Misophonia, and, you know, like, it kind of sucks. It could be kind of lonely. People don't always understand, and it feels good to be understood, you know? Like, it feels good to be listened to, and people don't always. When I tell them about this disorder, people will sometimes, like, jokingly, teasingly, like, do the trigger sounds, and, like, it will, like, it'll drive, like, I'll like, beg them, like, please don't do that. Like, it'll make me kind of, like, freak out, you know, and they'll start laughing and be like, calm down, you're overreacting. I'm like, you don't know what's happening. Like, you don't know what's going on up here. Like, I'm not overreacting. Like, if you had my brain, like, this would not be a laughing matter, you know? So, just having some, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too, like, preachy or whatever. It'd be cool to see more stuff like this, you know? And I see a lot of people making vlogs for, like, autism and bipolar disorder, and, like, that's super cool, because disorders like this kind of get stigmatized. They're not as romanticized as, like, depression. Like, there's so many artists out there, really successful ones. I don't want to put names out there because that just sounds shady. I don't want to, like, how do you say it? I don't want to single them out, but things like anxiety and depression or whatever just sort of get, like, romanticized, and people talk about it like it's like a joke, like, oh, I'm so OCD, like, I did this. I'm like, dude, I have, like, I won't go into it, but disorders related to OCD, and it's not, that ain't it, chief. That ain't it. So, anyways, I could just end this vlog now and call it a day, but I think I want to take y'all up this hill with me, because the view is quite nice. And why not? Let's see. I'm trying to come up with, like, Q&A questions about misophonia. Because that's, like, what YouTubers do, right? They make an Instagram and they have Q&A. Sometimes I wonder if they make up their questions, be like, one of you guys asked this question. I'm like, did they? Did you not curate that question because it fits your content and say it was a fan? Not to say they don't have fans, but I don't know. Man. Actually, I think I'll end this video right now because I don't really know what else to say. But this won't be the last. I just learned how to share videos on my Mac, or like share screen on my Mac and take videos and record it, so I feel like that'd be kind of cool. So maybe do like some sort of, I don't know, something related to misophonia and mental illness. I don't want to just reduce it to mental illness though, like our brains are, like nature itself and like our brains are just so diverse, and who knows if this is like in some conditions, some nature rather than, or nurture rather than nature scenario to where misophonia would actually be the ideal neurotype, you know, like maybe because of how society is now that this is considered a disorder because we have so much excess stimuli. Anyways, that's another video, and hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.